Discussions about Jerusalem usually get tangled up in theology and mysticism, but if you look closely at ancient Hebrew jurisprudence, the city's standing actually rests on a foundation of strict property law. In Jewish law, the concept of kedusha, or sanctification, functions as a rigid constitutional framework. It dictates exact jurisdictional boundaries and establishes national sovereignty. Because it functions as a binding legal mechanism, its validity can be objectively audited. Depending on geopolitical conditions, this standing can be legally granted, or it can be completely revoked. Analyzing the land through this legal lens clarifies a contradiction that has defined the history of the Jewish homeland for thousands of years. The baseline claim to the land starts with Joshua. When the ancient Israelites first crossed into the territory, they claimed it and established an initial sanctification. This visualization tracks that legal status. Notice the top line, Joshua's claim. At the Babylonian exile, his sanctification was voided, plummeting to 0. But the bottom line, representing Ezra's return, remains locked at 100%, surviving the Roman exile without ever dropping. Comparing these two events highlights a glaring discrepancy. Ezra secured a permanent legal standing that Joshua's initial claims simply lacked. Understanding this requires examining the lowest tier of property acquisition recognized by ancient law, military conquest, known in Hebrew jurisprudence as kibush. Joshua acquired the land by the sword. Because of that, his legal title carried a specific vulnerability. It was held only as long as he could defend it. The objective rule of nations states that any title acquired by force is conditionally held. If a stronger empire subsequently invades and captures the territory, the previous owner's title is lawfully cancelled. The Babylonians didn't just remove the population. By the established rules of conquest, they legally eradicated Joshua's title to the land. Ezra's era introduced a superior tier of legal title, known as hazaka, a status of ownership achieved through recognized tenure. Ezra arrived holding a formal sovereign license and diplomatic recognition from the Persian Empire to reconstitute the Jewish homeland. He wasn't relying on a military victory to prove his claim. International recognition creates a legal tenure that is strictly immune to military conquest. This ensured the title could outlive the physical presence of the occupants, even during later exiles. This logic explains the country at large, yet it doesn't account for the capital. Even after military conquest wiped out the country's legal status, the sanctification of Jerusalem itself remained intact. The reason lies in the absolute highest tier of property jurisprudence in both ancient and modern law, a direct, consensual purchase. King David did not take the Temple Mount by force. Instead, he acted as a sovereign, executing a peaceful, documented financial transaction. The historical record outlines the exchange. David directly purchased the threshing floor, the specific site of the future temple, from Aravna the Jebusite, the previous legal title holder. Under strict property law, a voluntary economic transfer from a willing seller creates an irrevocable, eternal title. No invading army can legally void a legitimate receipt. Jerusalem's status was locked in precisely because its core was consensually bought. This purchase permanently exempted the capital from the vulnerabilities of mere conquest. Over the centuries following the Roman exile, Jerusalem was physically occupied by a long succession of empires, from the Byzantines to the Ottomans. There is a critical difference between physical occupation and actual legal title. None of these occupying empires ever received a consensual transfer of the deed from the Jewish people. In the modern era, the global community audited these legal rights at the San Remo Resolution of 1920, following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. At San Remo, the League of Nations didn't grant a new title. Instead, they formally recognized the pre-existing historical connection, creating a legal mandate to reconstitute the Jewish national home. This mandate was later absorbed and ratified by the United Nations Charter under Article 80, ensuring that the legal recognition of the Jewish claim remained active in modern global jurisprudence. When neighboring nations launched a military invasion of the newly formed state, the international community explicitly rejected their subsequent occupation. Modern legal doctrine regarding defensive wars is clear. A state acting in lawful self-defense to repel an illegal occupier secures a legally superior title to the recovered territory. This legal journey culminated in 1967. The Jewish people lawfully repelled the invasion and reasserted physical control over their capital. The status of Jerusalem rests on a title purchased 3 millennia ago, subsequently validated by international law and never legally surrendered. It is a matter of property as much as history.